Shabbat Shalom. There are so many aspects of the words of our ancestors that are lost on us because we live with a different lingua franca, because we live in a different culture, because we are distant from the natural environment of the world in which they were first coined. Just as we saw in Psalm 93, talking about Adonai lifting up above the sound of the roaring ocean. Well, for those in the ancient past, the roaring ocean was not merely a symbol of the beautiful place that you might surf or collect seashells. The roaring ocean was a symbol of chaos. The ancients believed that the world had been established literally over a ball of water, that the earth was a shell, and that is why when you drilled down, you were able to get wells, for example. And therefore, that world moving, what we call earthquakes, as a former San Diegan, I know about these well, that was simply the world moving on the top of its water. And when God then is speaking above that, it is showing God's might, his ability to bring order, to bring structure, to bring permanence out of the chaos upon which the world seems to rest. That we need not believe that the world will disintegrate, we need not believe the world is random, that God is superior to even those forces of chaos that seem to bedevil our lives. Now, that we happen to have much testimony of that ancient cosmology to help us understand, but there are other phrases and passages throughout the Tanakh that we think we understand, but we don't. In this week's Torah portion, there is one of the most famous incidents in the life of Avraham Avinu, of Abraham, our ancestor, where he is looking to bury his wife Sarah. And he goes to the Hittites, or at least one Hittite in the area of Canaan at the time of Canaan, and he wants to purchase a burial ground. And in the back and forth, well, it seems a little, strange. Because when he approaches the people of the area, they say, hey, just go ahead, bury your loved one. You are a wonderful person. Who would withhold any of their burial sites for you? To which he responds, yeah, but I want my own. I don't want it to be that my loved one is buried in your graveyard, in your tomb. I want to have my own, to begin for my family. I want this to be uniquely our own. To which they say, well, ask. And he says, well, the cave of Machpelah. And they say, well, okay. And Ephron the Hittite responds by saying, go, bury your dead. What is a cave worth 400 shekels of silver between friends? At which point, Abraham counts out 400 shekels of silver and buries Sarah there, and that cave is still there in the city of Hebron until this day. Now, for many, many centuries, many modern readers would look at this section and go, what a crafty way to name your price without naming your price. Right? This Hittite scoundrel is trying to wheedle 400 shekels out of Abraham, and he's not even willing to say, please pay me 400, I'll give you 400. Instead, he makes it sound like it's a gift, but he ends up taking the money. Doesn't sit well. And it's true. Within Western European culture for the last couple centuries, this was not the way you handled business. In the modern era, in the age of burgeoning capitalism, of the Industrial Revolution, people wanted to know what was the price, they wanted to know what was the value, and they wanted to know where were the receipts. And thus, this exchange seems very artificial. But at the same time as we were getting full of ourselves for our directness, our ability to speak openly about these matters, there were archaeological digs taking place in Egypt. In fact, Europe was quite Egypt mad during the 1800s, and a city known as Amarna was discovered. And something unique was found there that has not been duplicated in the same way anywhere else. Letters. About 400 letters, but these were not written in hieroglyphics, as you might have expected from Egypt. These were written in cuneiform, in the Assyrian style of writing. All those little sharp lines pressed into a clay tablet. And this area, unique city that lasted for only a few decades as part of Egypt's own tumultuous past, predating even the time of Abraham, these tablets record the correspondence between the Pharaoh of Egypt and the other dignitaries of the ancient Near East, including the Hittites. And in them, we are able to discern much about their culture and their attitudes. And one of the things that comes through very, very clearly is that important people aren't merchants. If you are actually an important person, if you are a powerful person, if you are a respected person, then buying and selling like the marketplace hawkers, that's beneath you. And nobody would ever think that you would deal in such mercantile ways. Instead, if you are the emissary of the Hittites and you wanted to make a deal with the Pharaoh of Egypt, you would offer a gift to that Pharaoh of Egypt, and in exchange, well, not exchange, sorry, in completely unrelated generosity, the Pharaoh of Egypt would offer you a gift back that just happened to work out about the exact same amount of value as the gift that you gave him. And in this way, silver and goods and gold would trade all the way around the ancient Near East without anyone having to be a merchant, without anyone having to do business. With that in mind, having dug up these cuneiforms, we take a look now at this episode with Avraham and Ephron, and we see there's a very different dynamic happening here. Ephron is actually paying Avraham a great deal of respect. By saying, I make this a gift to you, he is actually saying, Avraham, you are such an incredible person, you are so mighty and high, that you are above trade. I can't sell you this. To sell you this would be to degrade your status by saying that you would deal in business affairs. Instead, I will make a gift of it to you, but in the manner in keeping with the ancient Near East. I'm not going to make it a gift that goes unanswered because, well, I still need something. And so I will tactfully mention the value of the gift so that you can tactfully choose to give me a gift in return that happens to work out to be exactly the same value. It is a small nuance, I know. But when we recognize from the cultural understanding that we see from the ancient Near East has been revealed by archaeological research of almost more than 100 years now, we are able to understand that Avraham meant more to the people of that area than perhaps we first thought. That yes, he was a stranger. He was a ger toshav, someone dwelling in the land but still considered a foreigner. Yet, as strange as their ways are, they are paying him a great deal of respect. They are recognizing in him somebody that truly is blessed and that they are willing to treat with as though he were a king. And as such, he is able to secure for the first time for our people a place that is owned and recognized by the others of the area, beginning the very long time that we have now held a place of Israel not only in our hearts, but within our hands. That respect that he was shown and that respect that he showed them enabled it to be this now permanent possession, this permanent holding for our people. It is hard sometimes to navigate through the language of Tanakh because it is, well, old and it is foreign. And the idioms and expressions and cultures in which it was first being written are no longer the ones that we are living in. But with our due diligence, with patience, and with more than a little bit of humility, we can recognize that there are still messages for us to discover, that there are still lessons for us to learn, and that perhaps our ancestors were even greater than we imagined, even in the eyes of others. Shabbat Shalom.